And Geitzel was wearing a trench coat.
Yeah, I mean, pull that off. But Herb was the kind of guy who had fun with all that stuff. And he just sat down and he drew stuff, and he just did what he did. He got into it. You see him, and he's.
I always got the idea from Herb's work that it was fun for him.
Always, you could tell.
You could see the love in it, and you could see that he wasn't just earning a paycheck.
No, never like that. Yeah, never like that.
Yeah, I read, right after he passed away, I don't know, I forget who posted it, but someone posted his diaries, and
I didn't see that.
And I read a lot of it, and there was a lot in there about when he finally got let go at Marvel, and he had some really bad years where there was just no work, and I think a lot of us went through that.
I remember that because I was there at the time.
Yeah.
I had just started out as a comic book artist, and I actually did a pinup, a double-page pinup of the Fantastic Four that was supposed to be in. I don't even remember if it was ever published. It was a FF Unlimited, and I think it might have been published. And I was in the offices there, and I saw all Herb's artwork in there, and I'm sitting there going through all this stuff, and I still have photocopies to this day that we made of all those originals in the office. That was a rough time for him. At that time, art had been changing. There was like a new movement at Marvel Comics, with all the line work and all the hatching, but done in an '80s fashion, really more than really what patchwork is made. Like Joe was saying, it's grayscale. It creates tone and value and stuff in grayscale in a black and white artwork. And during that time, it was turned into a graphic during the '90s. You didn't have to put patchwork down for specific reasons. And Herb got onto the bandwagon and wanted to show people he could do a lot of different stuff, and he could, because Herb could do anything he wanted to. But it was very difficult to get through in that time, and I loved whatever he did on it. But I tell you what, his storytelling was perfect on that stuff. But I remember seeing that stuff, and right before that stuff happened, and that was pretty interesting.
Another thing that I found really compelling about Herb is that first of all, he was very involved in the church, and I guess he was an ordained deacon. He was an ordained deacon. And when 9/11 happened, or the planes crashed in the World Trade Center, he went there that day, and he stayed there, and he was there, looking for survivors and digging through the rubble and stuff like that. And he wrote a book about it. And I haven't read the book. Did you read the book yet? I'm sure it's pretty wonderful. But what's the title of the book? It's about an angel, something with I'm gonna look it up. Yeah. But is that angel in the night?
Well, we'll look it up. But
yeah, we'll look it up. But the idea that
it's a little.
Yeah, that like a guy like us, a comic artist, just put everything down and just went into hero mode, and I thought, wow, Herb was a hero, and I don't know if I would have the wherewithal to go, read that crap and dig through the rubble looking for survivors and stuff. And he did it, and that we were down about it. So I'm sure it's a pretty wonderful read. But that's just the kind of guy.
Wondering how much more you can write.
Yeah.
Pretty incredible book.
Yeah, well, and I think if you love Herb and you love his work, it would be a worthwhile thing to pick up this book and read it if you get it in film. See another side of Herb, sort of beyond being a fan of his work and appreciating his art, you get to kind of know the man.
Yeah, well, one thing about Herb is that, I don't think I ever met him about anything bad that never said it.
No, me neither. Yeah, I like the little drawing that Marie Severin did of him. He's a young, good-looking guy with it's him at his desk, and there's cute girls his body's all hanging on it and stuff. And Marie was great. I don't know if you know who Marie Severin was. She's was a cartoonist, and she's John Severin's sister. And she was one of the actual artists from DC Comics back in the day. and she was hilarious. She told the dirtiest jokes. And she was funny, and it was just kind of cool to see that drawing. You know, that's one of the great things about working in an art studio with a bunch of people who draw for a living, who are just a bunch of funny a-holes. They're going to sit around and draw funny cartoons of each other and stuff. That stuff's always fun to see.
Well, yeah, he started, that's when he started the Hulk, right? Was
she before him on Hulk?
Yeah, and he came in and she would do the I don't know if they were breakdowns or layouts, but he would do all the finishing artwork.
Yeah, I saw some in the book we were looking at a little while ago.
Yeah.
Where her, I guess they were breakdowns. Maybe they were. Yeah.
Yeah, they were probably breakdowns. I just want to let me just get this. Amelia, this is from Amelia Trimpe. I just told her that I would read it. Did anybody want to write anything about it? Anyway,
Tell us who it is.
Amelia's his daughter. So I just wanted to write it. I think to sum up her up would be to say that for someone who drew superheroes, he was in life our very own hero. He was complex and had a dark side, but he was incredibly capable of making you feel alive and loved and important. He was never boring and was always willing to play. Thanks for thinking of, now I'm reading what she wrote to me. Anyway, that was fun. But his family loved him to death. It's the same thing. You kind of, the thing about her is that if you get to know her, you can fall in love with her, Trimpe, like that. You can fall in love. And he told it how it was. He told you what he believed. He told you how he felt. What the kind of comic conventions he liked? Smaller comic conventions. He liked comic conventions about the artist and about the art. He didn't have a problem with the big conventions, but he liked the smaller conventions, and he liked talking to people. He was a people guy, and he's grumpy sometimes, but he had a right to be sometimes.
Speaking of grumpy, I wanted to talk about, ask about working on the Jarella stuff with her. Now, Harlan Ellison wrote a couple of issues of that, right? Didn't Ellison write a couple of the issues of the whole Jarella?
I think Jarella was.
The girl on the green island, right?
Wasn't that Sal's?
I think Sal did the first issue, but I think Herb did a bunch of the Jarella issues. I think there was one where you might have told her actually. It was right around there. Or Ed did. Right around 204, I think. But I mean, that's incredibly groundbreaking stuff. Because you have a science fiction writer like Harlan Ellison, who was huge in the industry at the time, so to start writing issues of the Hulk.
Of course, as the anchor, by the time it came to me, and whoever wrote it, most of the stuff I did, I think Lynn
Weaver,
but by the time it came to me, whoever wrote it didn't really matter because it had been set up, and I just was finishing it up, and so the writer wouldn't really have impacted on me.
But it's like that stuff is just incredibly groundbreaking stuff when he was doing, during the Hulk at the time.
Do you think that the Hulk that people think about is Herb's Hulk? I mean,
Well, I'll tell you what. That's a good question. When you think about the Hulk, Jack Kirby created the Hulk. You don't think about Jack Kirby as the Hulk artist. Okay. So there were different people who had runs on Hulk, but I think the two main guys that I recall were the main guys you would think of for the Hulk would be Sal Buscema and Herb Trimpe.
yeah.
And I think Herb would be the one because he brought in, all those newer characters as they were coming in, Herb was drawing them. He was involved in them,
I think a lot of what people think of the Hulk is what Herb.
The quintessential Herb. Yeah.
Because he developed personality
Right.
so much, and just being there so long.
Yeah.
He was to me, the Hulk is Herbie by John Severin.
Yes.
That's to me, that's Herbie. So.
And my wife has some superhero pants on today that we found at the store, and there's Herb Trimpe right there in the crotch. I get her crotch and Herb Trimpe at the same time. Okay.
Stand up and take a bow.
You're in so much trouble.
But I have to tell you, the reason Herb's Hulk will live on for the rest of his eternity, also through the marketing. You know,
Yeah.
some of the marketing is, you know, I don't like some of all that stuff, but then again, when you think about all those products and everything, Herb's artwork is all over the place.
Like hotels.
Yeah, like hotels. You'll find it everywhere. People who don't really even know will see Herb's Hulk for the rest of eternity.
And iconic poses.
The iconic, yeah, absolutely. You know, there was some different iterations of the way you Hulk too. You know, from sure.
Yes.
Beginning to the end. Right?
What were you gonna ask?
On that hulking note, I recently read through Herb's run on the Hulk, and you were talking about his love of aviation or airplanes, and there always seems to be a chance for the Hulk to be on the outside of some rocket or some jet, right? Usually in the stratosphere, maybe in low Earth orbit, beating the living crap out of the plane because he doesn't know any better. That means to fly it back down to Earth again. And then of course, I believe it was the Avengers movie. He's on a jet, and the iconic Hulk falls off the jet at 50,000 feet in the air.
Well, that's
See, you
kind
know,
of-
was that her? Did he start that?
I don't. Well, he didn't write the story, so I don't know if he started that particularly, but he sure as hell drew it well.
Oh yeah.
He certainly got into it.
Yeah.
But I think that whole Hulk, not to get off subject, but the whole thing in the air is all because, you know, a Hulk can't fly, but
He falls
he
really well.
so what else is he
Like
gonna
falling
do?
with style.
Right. You can have Iron Man fighting in the sky, and Thor fighting in the sky, but to have Hulk fighting in the sky, it's not really gonna happen unless he's landing on a plane that's propelling somewhere.
Yeah.
And he can stay on it. So
But he can jump like hell too.
Yes,
So.
sure as hell.
Yeah.
Sure as hell.
Well, I remember when I was a kid, all of the Marvel Hulk merchandise was all Herb's art.
Yeah, I have a big poster of Hulk that
And
Herb-
you know-
It's the one where he's jumping and he's kind of like above you.
I'm sure I have pretty much a lot of
You know, from my own viewpoint, I can't imagine G.I. Joe any way but Herb's G.I. Joe. I see his style as the style of G.I. Joe.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, I was glad it was good, but yeah, Herb had a nice run in G.I. Joe, and it was, I just actually rebought all that stuff.
I did I had to do a recreation of G.I. Joe 11 that I drew. Yes, I worked in comics. And,
It's very good as well.
But,
and stuff.
and I had to draw the logo, which I was really excited at. Jeff over here mentioned to Herb that I was looking for a copy of the logo so I could use it on the thing. And we went to Comic Con. Which con was that? I can't remember.
It was one of the
Mitch's con.
Yeah, was it one of the Penn Plaza ones?
Yeah. And Herb brought me the actual logo from G.I. Joe that he had all those years that he was using.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I have it, and I never used it because I just went ahead and knocked out the lettering myself and kept it, you know. But that was cool. It was like a nice little thing that Herb did for me.
So,
Any questions? Anybody else? Anything? Yeah.
When you guys were doing all this all those years ago, did any of you actually think that it would ever amount to stuff like this?
Well, Herb certainly didn't.
No.
You'd have to ask Joe or these guys because they're way older than me. I'm actually not young.
Yeah.
I remember that it was kind of accepted, and it was in the letter columns a lot, that the idea of movies about superheroes would be mentioned, and the reply, whoever was writing the replies, sign Stan or whatever, and whoever was writing Julie Schwartz's columns in DC, it was accepted that there was no way to film a superhero battle because it would cost just way too much just to stage all that stuff. And it was just accepted that this had to stick to comics, that, you know, you could do watered down versions of the characters, but you could never really do a superhero.
You could do George Reeves laying on a table.
And breaking through a wall every episode.
Yeah, breaking through a wall. And then some poor schmuck had to put that wall back.
Even the battle in Superman 2 against the Kryptonian villains is kind of lackluster. I mean, compared to the stuff you see nowadays.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Totally possible. It's like,
But back then, trying to capture what they did in the comic book, that wasn't feasible. Now they can do it.
Yeah, now it's, you know, you can just knock that stuff out for TV. You know, it doesn't, relatively, it doesn't cost that much. CGI can't do anything. So, no, I mean, we were coming along. It was accepted that this couldn't be done. And things, technology's got.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of stuff like comics and even cartoons that were done for theatrical release, no one ever thought there was any value past whatever the first viewing of that was. You know, like I always think about Winsor McCay, Little Nemo. If you don't know Little Nemo, look it up. They were comic pages and they were this big. It was like from 1905, and the most beautiful, amazing artwork you've ever seen in your life. And he would do the color separations and the printing, and he created a way to do color comics that no one had ever thought about before. And people Sunday morning would sit down with their porridge and read the paper, and then they'd wrap a fish in it or put it in a parrot cage or something. And that was it. It wasn't like it was going to have a life past that.
Yeah.
And I know in my experiences doing Ren and Stimpy, we really didn't think about anything past just doing the job, making the deadline. And like when I was working in comics, I'm sure you were the same way. It was just a paycheck. It was just like doing. But on the other side of that, it was something that we loved doing and that we wanted to do, and we do, you know, regardless. And the fact that someone was out there reading it once was great for us, you know. And I don't know.
That's how a lot of us.
Yeah, but this is a little sidetrack, but back in the day, Disney animators used to take Snow White cells and go out in the parking lot and put them and run and jump on them and slide because it was fun.
Right, now you think about it today, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
You know, what
yeah.
that stuff would be today.
I know a lady who has an animation store selling animation art in the city in New York, and she got into business because a friend of hers was cleaning out the trash at Warner Brothers, and there was all of this old plastic art, you know, in the trash, and he decided to save it and pass it on to her, and started a pretty good business.
Wow.
Were you telling me that Warner Brothers, they used to actually...
They used to, Bugs Bunny cartoons. You ever notice when you're watching Bugs Bunny, you can see the reflection from the light sometimes, and you'll see the cell kind of ripple, and there's kind of scratch looking. The reason is, when they were done with the Bugs Bunny cartoon, they had women whose jobs it was to clean those cells off so the paint department could repaint new cells on them, and they used the same cells for each cartoon. Because no one ever thought that a cell would be worth anything.
Just like comic books.
Well, then DC used to like throw their original artwork in the incinerator or give them out at the end of the floors.
Actually, Marvel and DC, I mean, a lot of those pages way back in the day, they just, until even through the early days of Marvel, they used to just give them away. Man.
There's a story that came out, I forget what website had it, about how in the 80s, the original art for X-Men #1 showed up at this comic book store, and these guys who obviously worked for Marvel, who just took this stuff and knew what it was worth and walked with it, sold it for like $400. All the original artwork for X-Men #1.
Well, you have a lot of guys selling artwork back then, even in the early 80s, didn't know what it would be worth today. You know, the movies have really brought a lot of these characters. You know, it's like movies are great. You know, and we're comic book artists, so and artists, so we just concern ourselves with just what we do, and But I mean, you know, like Bob was saying, you don't think about what it's going to be tomorrow and what's going to be next year or 5, 20 years from now. But I mean, you know, I'm losing my train of thought now.
It's okay.
Well,
Time.
anyway, that's changed a
Yeah,
bit
back to the-
because with the coming of image, the thing of doing big display drawings, splashes all through stories, was done specifically to resell the original art, so that there would be more income from the art. So, you know, it is a bit different.
I missed out on all that, because I quit Marvel in April of '88.
I didn't.
So I just
guess
missed
they were
it.
in the 92, 3 or something like that. So.
Yeah, but I really don't think that's real good storytelling. You know, it's
Well,
like
it's a different
splashes for
approach, yeah.
splashes' sake. Yeah.
Are you saying that the comic books that were produced in the 90s weren't necessarily the best? I'm shocked.
That's what I'm saying.
And to
That's
say,
exactly what I'm saying.
My kids like the old comics. They're like 9 and 11 and they only know
Yeah.
They like Trimpe, like that's all they know.
We have a generation now where the original art is done so that it can be spectacular to resell the original art, and characters are developed so they can be sold to the movies. And you know, but there's not really anything wrong with that.
Right.
It's just, you know, things have changed.
But some of that stuff you have to understand, selling, because look, back then they didn't think about selling the artwork, right? So you got to think about it this way, right? So back then they didn't think about selling the artwork, so it didn't mean anything.
There
So
was
they
no
didn't-
market
Yeah,
for
there was
it.
no market for it. Once it became a market and artists were getting their originals back, now it changes for the artist, because now if the artist holds on to his work, he can sell his original artwork. Now, are people going to buy a page where it's 20 headshots in a row of Joe Schmo, and you maybe see a headshot of a superhero there? Or do you want to break it down and turn it from 10 panels on the page, make it 6 panels on the page, and you have one shot in there, and that's going to sell that page? So, you know, the artists started thinking about when they make their salary, that their salary isn't just, especially a lot with inkers as well too, their salary isn't just their salary. Their salary is what they can sell afterwards as well now. Because I mean, pages, you can sell pages for good money, you know? So that became a source of income once artists were starting to get all their artwork back. And then people were actually selling them and making money.
And now there's prints.
And now there's prints.
Yeah.
So now you got prints, people make money for prints, you can make money from the page, original pages, and you know, a lot of money goes around from original.
Real quick,
Jeff would know all about this.
I'll add one more thing that kind of ties into that with Herb specifically. One of the last things Herb did at Marvel in the early 90s before he left was the pencils for an X Factor story. And one of the all-time big Herb fans, as far as artists go, is Rob Liefeld.
Absolutely.
And Rob is inking that story right now.
Oh, wow. Yep.
And it's the first time he's done these characters in 20 years.
I remember speaking to him about that right before.
And he says he will have it done by the New York Comic Con, and the plan is to auction off those pages for Herb's wife and for Hero.
Yes.
Wow.
Actually, I was in contact with Rob about that right before that. I put together a panel for New York Comic Con. That's me and Eric Larson and a few other guys. And I called him up the other day, and Rob said he'll be part of it. So it'll be me and Eric and Rob Liefeld and a few other guys doing a panel for her. And that the thing with selling the stuff for Herb's wife, we were putting that together to do at Comic Con hopefully, and then have a whole bunch of artists put stuff together like that. Yeah.
And then
All the time.
I'll also add, if you're interested in seeing stuff Herb has been working on recently, I know he did some stuff for Guy.
Yeah.
He did his own stories, writing, art, color,
Yeah.
the whole 9 yards for a digital publication called Aces Weekly, which is published by David Lloyd.
David Lloyd, yeah, it's
who does
really cool
did V for
publication.
Vendetta.
Yeah, the book that I was working on with her, which I was so happy about, we were actually supposed to continue working on every issue, doing something in there. You know, he got a 3-page story done and a wraparound cover. Actually, real quick, maybe about the day that we got the message. The day that we got the message about it, Rob told me about Herb, that Herb actually passed away. Because I was sitting there inking the cover of that Herb.
It's a wraparound, right?
Yeah, a wraparound. The book's called Core, Controlled Organic Robotics. It'll be coming out, you'll see. But I was sitting there inking it, and I hear this about Herb, and I was zoned out completely from everything. And I can't remember, I think I called you, or you called me, I can't remember.
I called you.
You called me.
Yeah.
I was, and he told me, and I'm sitting there thinking it.
Yeah, I remember, he got pretty emotional.
That was,
It's just a weird way to hear it.
and it's if you ever work with anyone, and you're doing doing something like that, that's some of the last stuff they'll ever draw, and then you have to go over it. I mean,
It makes it special.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like I can't even it's hard for me to talk about it because Herb was to me one of the greatest influences.
Yeah.
So to sit there and I don't know, it's just rough. I'm sure Rob's having the same.
I think that kind of a good closing thought is that, aside from being a really talented artist and a guy who was such a part of our lives for so long with his artwork, he was just an amazing dude. Who loved everybody, who everybody loved, and he was very involved with his community and very involved with people and life, and he had a real serious side. And when I was reading I guess you could look him up online, his diaries, just to hear his day-to-day thoughts and what it was like going through not having work and feeling like he got dumped by Marvel and all that, and reading that and thinking, wow, this is, I wish I'd spent more time talking to her,
That was during the time that he was teaching, right?
Yeah, he
He taught for 2 years, right? 2 years.
Anyway, we gotta go.
Yeah.